Welcome everybody back to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're taking a look at the 2023 Lucid Air Sapphire. So production of this car started back in September 2021, and this is the top of the range model as it has the most power, the most motors, and it's the most sporty orientated vehicle. Or version of this vehicle, should I say? And yeah, it's got a the headline figures for this car is going to be the amount of power that this has got going on. So it's got 3 electric motors, 1 up front and 2 at the rear, and they are all 3 of those are powered by 118 kilowatt hour of batteries, which in total gives this car 1,247 horsepower and 1,411 pounds-feet of torque. So that is a monumental amount of horsepower to put in a car that at the end of the day is a 4-door saloon with plenty of practicality, the ability to carry 5 people, and yeah, is obviously meant for the road more than anything else. So yeah, to have practically hypercar levels of power in a car of this kind of type is ridiculous, but surprisingly it's able to keep it all in check, and that is thanks to the fact that it's got carbon ceramic brakes, a track-tuned suspension, and a special aerodynamic package, which as you can see consists of this rear spoiler, which is permanently fixed. And yeah, and I have no doubt in my mind that that makes a big difference, because yeah, the car on the whole is a very planted vehicle. And yeah, we've got, like I said, plenty of practicality. So we've got a front at the front of the car. If it'll let me show you off, I'll have to just explode the car. But yeah, as you can see, it's got a decent sized front, so you can put your cables and whatnot in there maybe, or just your general kind of luggage that you need. And yeah, in terms of up front, you've got 3 screens, 3 LED screens for your normal kind of information about the car, but then you've got your big one in the middle there and one to the right of the vehicle as well. Nice to see that there's still a few analog buttons, especially with the temperature and fan speed, so you don't have to mess about in the menus for all of that. But yeah, on the whole, very nice up front, but kind of typical for a modern day EV. But you do have a lot of legroom in the rear, as you can see. Also got some controls for, I think, what's the heated rear seats, and yeah, you can fit 3 people in the back there, which is very nice. And then the boot is decently sized, but not the most massive boot you've ever seen, although there is a decent amount of width at the right at the back, or should it say the front of the boot. But yeah, it's nowhere near as big as a lot of other EVs that we've seen on this game before, but I do like the fact that it's shaped around the rear of the car, and it's not just a very tiny entrance with a big part of the boot at the back. It's very big from the start, so that is always nice. If you look at the likes of a Chevrolet Camaro, for instance, it has a very narrow entrance to the boot, and yet the boot itself is reasonably sized. So yeah, very impressive in terms of its overall shape. The aerodynamics, in terms of the drag coefficient, is only 0.21, so that is very efficient. But the design overall is a little bit on the plain side. It's not ugly or anything like that, and I do kind of like the way it looks, but as you can see from the side profile, it looks like any ordinary saloon car, despite the fact that we've got all the advantages of the batteries and the motors and whatnot being snug and way down below the rest of the car. Designs for these kind of cars is very ordinary in a lot of ways. Yes, the front fascia and the general look of the rear don't look typically like every other car, but then in some regards that they do. So yeah, design wise it's not pushing any boundaries, but in terms of the performance and the amount of luxury that is on offer, it definitely is. So yeah, let's nonetheless get onto the open road and see what this car can do. Right, so here we are at the drag strip, so let's see what this car can do in terms of straight line performance before we hit the speed camera, and then we'll get it round the track. So yeah, with all of that power virtually being instantaneous, it's no surprise that this car is basically like a rocket ship off the line. And in terms of general acceleration, as you can see, easily one of the fastest cars that we've had on this review series. 183 miles an hour in a saloon car is monumentally fast. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. And yeah, for it to be able to deal with that kind of power, you're not struggling off the line, you've got no you're not got no loss of traction or anything like that. It's just really, really good in terms of handling that amount of power. And yeah, despite the fact that it weighs a fair old amount at 5,298 pounds, the handling is far better than you'd expect it to be. especially in comparison to a couple of other luxurious EV cars, the likes of the Audi RS e-tron and the Porsche Taycan Turbo S, as this weighs only 124 pounds more than the Audi and 177 pounds more than the Porsche, and we're in top end S1 class, as you can see if it loads. There we go. And yeah, these are the stats, which are all fairly impressive, I think you'll agree, especially in terms of the braking, the launch, acceleration and speed. Handling is not the best by any means for a car of this level of power, but if you compare it to the likes of the Porsche and the Audi that I've already mentioned, then as you can see, the Audi did not for some reason get favorited. I did remember favoriting it. Just back out a second, we'll compare it. Yeah, I did favourite the car, but apparently Forza has suddenly had a little bit of a brain lapse. Yeah, you can see it's favorited. Oh, because it's not in S1 class. Dirt. So yeah, just quickly look at the stats on this, and then we'll go quickly back into Rivals mode, and then we'll look at the Porsche in comparison as well as the Audi. So yeah, as you can see, the stats are far better than the Audi. The handling is slightly better, the braking is substantially better, and the acceleration and launch are also improved. But compared to the Porsche, which is even more expensive than the Audi, as you can see, we're also better than that in pretty much every regard. The Porsche tops out at 171 miles an hour, whereas we have a higher top speed than that. And you can see the handling is better, the acceleration is better, the launch is better, and the braking is slightly better as well, despite the additional weight that we have going on. And yeah, which is all very impressive, to be honest. So yeah, let's see what this car can do around the track. To do that, we're going to take a listen to the car for a little bit. Obviously, being an electric car, it's not going to make the most amount of noise, but it does make some noise, and then we'll talk about it some more. So yeah, this is very impressive in terms of its performance, and the fact that it's able to deal with such amount of weight while still being an incredibly quick car, because at the end of the day this is by no means a slouch, as it can do 0 to 60 in 1.871 seconds, 0 to 100 in 3.859 seconds, and it goes to a top speed of 205 miles an hour, which is 34 miles an hour quicker than the Porsche Taycan can do at the top end. And this is obviously quicker in terms of acceleration as well. So yeah, despite all of that power, all of that acceleration and speed, the handling on this is really rather quite remarkable. Obviously it's by no means perfect. As you can see here, we're getting a little bit of an oversteer moment, but for the most part it is really, really good, and the braking is especially really rather great, especially considering it's got a lot of weight, so therefore it's got a lot of momentum behind it no matter what the kind of speed we're doing. And yet, as you can see, braking from 164 mile an hour, we got down to about 90 in no time at all. So yeah, it's a very, very well sorted vehicle. It feels a lot more planted than the Porsche and the Audi do, which both of those cars feel a little bit on the edge of grip and ability and all of that lot. So whereas this, yeah, doesn't really feel like it's being pushed that hard, even doing these kind of speeds around this track. So yeah, on the whole, a very impressive car in terms of handling, incredible in terms of acceleration and top speed. Looks wise, like I said, they're not the most exciting of looks on this car, but neither is it ugly like say a Tesla. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's going for a very kind of luxurious upmarket kind of feel, which from the looks of it, in terms of the interior and the general kind of performance that's got going on, it is a very luxurious car in a lot of ways. So yeah, mightily impressed by this, especially considering this is Lucid's first car. Obviously they run various versions of this car. There are lower versions in terms of horsepower and amount of motors and the like, but yeah, for their first vehicle, it's incredible, quite frankly, and yeah, really glad it's been put on the game, because not only am I an EV fan, but I do obviously like new cars that I've never heard of before being added to this game. So yeah, it's well worth getting, and you can get it by getting 20 points in the festival playlist. It's well worth getting, and hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as I do. Nonetheless, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.